It was almost midnight. The office building stood silent in the dark. All lights were off except one. A small light was still glowing on the third floor. Mr. Thomas, the CEO of the company, looked at the security monitor in his home office. He frowned. Again? He whispered to himself. For the fifth time this week, someone was staying late in the office. He zoomed in on the screen. It was the same man. Michael, the quiet janitor. Michael was always calm. He came in early, cleaned the floors, and left without making noise. He never spoke unless spoken to. Most employees ignored him. They never asked his name. They just said, "Hey, cleaner." But Mr. Thomas noticed something strange. Every night after everyone went home, Michael stayed. He didn't clean. He didn't rest. He just disappeared inside the building. One night, Mr. Thomas called the night guard. "Who's still in the building?" "Just the janitor, sir." "Same guy. Leaves around 2 a.m. "Is he cleaning that long?" The guard hesitated. "Honestly, I don't know. He finishes early. Then he just vanishes. But nothing's stolen." Mr. Thomas became more curious. He opened old security footage. Every night was the same. Michael cleaned the floor, then went to the storage room. He stayed inside for hours and came out only once the sky turned orange. The next morning, Mr. Thomas couldn't stop thinking. Who was Michael? Why was he spending nights in a dusty storage room? Was he hiding something, or worse? Was he planning something? Mr. Thomas had built his company with hard work. He couldn't take risks. That evening, he stayed back. He told his secretary no meetings. "I'll be working late." But he didn't go to his office. He hid in the camera room and waited. At 9:05 p.m., Michael arrived. His steps were slow. He changed into his gray uniform, took the mop, and started cleaning. For 2 hours, he worked without rest. Not one complaint, not one word. At 11:10 p.m., he put the mop away, then looked around to make sure no one was watching and walked quietly toward the storage room. Mr. Thomas leaned closer to the screen. Michael opened the door and slipped inside. Minutes passed. Then an hour. Then another. No movement. Mr. Thomas couldn't take it anymore. He grabbed his keys and went downstairs. The hallway was quiet. The air felt heavy. He reached the storage room and slowly turned. The handle, it wasn't locked. He pushed the door open and stopped. Inside the room, Michael sat on the floor, not resting, not sleeping, but working. Wires were spread everywhere. Broken electronics, old computers, forgotten printers, turned into parts of something new. Michael was building a machine. He didn't hear Mr. Thomas enter. He was too focused, his hands moving fast, his eyes sharp. Mr. Thomas watched in shock. He expected to catch a thief. Instead, he found a genius. Michael finally looked up and froze. His face turned pale. "Sir, I can explain." Mr. Thomas raised a hand. "Don't speak. Just show me what this is." Michael stood slowly. He walked to a corner and pressed a small switch. The machine lit up. A soft hum filled the room. A tiny screen turned on, showing numbers and lights blinking. "It's a smart power saver," Michael said quietly. "I designed it to help buildings save electricity." Mr. Thomas couldn't believe his eyes. "You made this from trash?" Michael nodded. "I don't have money to buy parts, so I use broken things." There was silence. Heavy silence. Mr. Thomas looked around the room again. Years of dust on the shelves. But in the middle, new life. A dream growing in secret. "Why didn't you tell anyone?" Mr. Thomas asked. Michael looked down. "People don't see me. They see my skin, my job, my clothes, not my mind." His voice broke. "I wanted to show what I can do, even if no one believed in me." Mr. Thomas stood still. Something inside him shifted. He had judged Michael too quickly. Just like the others. He looked at the glowing machine one more time. then back at Michael. "You're not just a janitor," he said. "You're an inventor." Michael stood in silence. The storage room was quiet except for the soft humming of the machine. He looked at Mr. Thomas, the CEO, with nervous eyes. He thought he was in trouble. He thought he would be fired. But Mr. Thomas didn't look angry. He looked surprised, impressed, confused. "How long have you been working on this?" Mr. Thomas asked. Michael cleared his throat. "Almost 2 years, sir. Every night after my shift." 2 years? Mr. Thomas said, stepping closer. "Why here? Why hide it?" Michael took a deep breath. "Because no one believed in me. I didn't have money for college. I didn't have connections. This was the only space I had." He pointed to the boxes around him. "Old printers, broken wires, leftover batteries. I used what others threw away." Mr. Thomas slowly walked around the small invention. He touched the wires, looked at the screen, checked the notes. The machine looked simple, but it worked, a homemade energy saver. It was clear. Michael had talent, real talent, but he was hiding. Not by choice. By the way the world treated him. "Do you have more designs?" Mr. Thomas asked. Michael opened a worn-out folder. Inside were pages of hand-drawn sketches. Each one showed a different idea. A low-cost water filter, a smart alarm system, a mobile charger using solar light mister. Thomas flipped through the pages slowly. He couldn't believe it. This janitor had more ideas than some of his top engineers. "Why haven't you shown these to anyone?" he asked again. Michael smiled sadly. No one ever asked. There was a long silence. Then Mr. Thomas said something Michael never expected. "From today, your job is not to clean the floors. It's to build dreams, starting with this one." Michael blinked. "What do you mean, sir?" "I mean you'll be moved to the tech team. You'll work directly under me, and we'll develop this energy saver together." Michael didn't know what to say. His hands shook. His eyes filled with tears. No one had ever trusted him like this. No one had ever looked at him, not as a cleaner, but as a creator. "Thank you," he whispered. Mr. Thomas nodded. "But remember," he said, "this will not be easy. People will question it. They'll doubt you. Even in this office." Michael stood tall. "I'm ready." The next morning, the office buzzed with surprise. Everyone saw Michael walking in, not in his janitor uniform, but in a shirt and tie. He entered the elevator with Mr. Thomas. People whispered. Some stared, some smiled, but others looked unhappy. In the tech department, Michael sat at a desk for the first time. He plugged in his laptop and opened his design. Some engineers watched from a distance. They had spent years studying technology. Now they were being told to learn from. "A janitor?" one of them whispered. "Let's see how long he lasts." But Michael didn't care. He had waited for this chance his whole life, and he was ready to prove that brilliance has no uniform, no skin color, no label. Michael sat at his new desk. His hands moved quickly across the keyboard. His eyes were focused on the screen. He was building something new, something powerful, but while his mind was working, the room around him was whispering. "He's just a janitor. I heard he never even went to college. Why is the CEO giving him a seat in tech?" People stared. They didn't speak to Michael. They just watched him like he didn't belong. Michael felt it. The eyes, the silence, the cold looks. In the break room, two engineers spoke in low voices. "This is unfair," one said. "We studied for years. And now a guy who cleaned floors is suddenly on our team? He must be lucky. That's it." Even the team leader, Mr. Jenkins, didn't like the change. He called Mr. Thomas into his office. "Sir, this is not how things work," he said. "You can't bring someone from the janitor staff and expect him to fit in." Mr. Thomas replied calmly, "I didn't bring a janitor into tech. I brought a genius. Back in the tech room, Michael continued working. He didn't stop, he didn't argue, he didn't explain, because he knew one thing: work speaks louder than words. He tested his machine again. The lights blinked green. Power saving, successful. Young intern named Lily noticed his progress. She walked over and said softly, "This is really cool. Did you design all of this?" Michael looked up and nodded. Lily smiled. "No one here talks to me either. Maybe we can help each other?" Michael smiled back for the first time that day. Later, in the meeting room, Mr. Thomas called everyone together. He placed a small device on the table. "This," he said, "is our next big product." He turned to Michael. "Would you like to explain it?" The room went quiet. Michael stood. He looked at the faces around him, some bored, some angry, some waiting for him to fail. Michael spoke clearly. "This device saves electricity in buildings. It learns how much power is needed and when." He showed the working demo. The numbers on the screen changed. "Using this," he said, "we can cut energy use by 40%. That means lower bills and less damage to the planet." The screen blinked. Success. There was silence. Then a few claps, then more. Lily clapped the loudest. Mr. Thomas nodded proudly. But Mr. Jenkins didn't smile. He folded his arms and walked out. That night, Michael sat alone in the storage room again. Not because he had to, but because it was quiet. Safe. He looked at the broken pieces still lying around and whispered, "They can doubt me all they want. I'm not going anywhere." Michael arrived early the next morning. He was excited. His new design had worked perfectly. The CEO liked it. Even some of the team had started to respect him. But something felt strange. When he opened the lab door, the air felt colder, quieter, different. Michael walked to his desk. His heart sank. His machine was broken. Wires were pulled out. The screen was cracked. The small parts were scattered. His hands shook as he touched the pieces. This wasn't an accident," he whispered. Just then, Lily walked in. She saw the mess and gasped. "Michael." "What happened?" Michael looked around the room. "I think someone did this on purpose." "But why?" He looked at the other desks. Everyone was acting normal, typing, talking, but no one looked at him. No one asked what happened, like nothing was wrong. Lily leaned closer and said, "We need to tell Mr. Thomas." But Michael shook his head. "No. If I complain, they'll say I don't belong here, that I can't handle pressure." "Then what will you do?" Michael took a deep breath. "I'll fix it. Again. From the start." Michael stayed late that night. He didn't eat. He didn't rest. He worked with quiet fire in his heart. Every broken part, he repaired. Every missing wire, he replaced. And while he worked, someone watched from the shadows. Mr. Jenkins. Earlier that day, Jenkins had entered the lab before anyone arrived. He saw the machine. He felt bitter. "How can this janitor do what my whole team couldn't?" he had muttered. His jealousy grew. He reached out and broke the wires with quiet hands, then walked away, pretending nothing happened. Now, watching Michael rebuild it, Jenkins felt uneasy. "This boy doesn't quit," he said under his breath. 2 days later, Michael walked into the meeting room with his machine again. Everyone turned to look. Whispers started. "I thought it was broken." "He fixed it? Already?" Mr. Thomas smiled. "You're ready?" Michael nodded. He placed the device down, connected it, pressed a button. The machine lit up, brighter than before. The screen showed, "System working, 42% energy saved, even better than last time." Everyone clapped, except Jenkins. Later that day, Jenkins went to Mr. Thomas's office. "This is going too far," he said angrily. "You're trusting someone without a degree, without training." Mr. Thomas looked at him calmly. "I'm trusting someone who works harder than anyone I've seen, who learns faster than most, who doesn't give up." Then he leaned forward. "And someone who didn't break company property just to feel big." Jenkins froze. How did you? Mr. Thomas pointed to the camera screen. Security watches everything. Jenkins turned pale. You're suspended, Mr. Thomas said. Until further notice. As he left the office, Jenkins passed by Michael. Michael looked at him, but didn't say a word. He just went back to work. Because Michael knew something now. Some people fight with words, but the smart ones fight with actions. The office buzzed with excitement. Big news had arrived that morning. 3 top investors were coming to visit. They were rich, powerful, and serious about business. Everyone wanted to impress them. Mr. Thomas called a quick meeting. We'll show them our latest projects, he said, and one of them will be Michael's invention. Heads turned. Some people nodded. Some rolled their eyes, but Mr. Thomas looked firm. Michael's work could change everything. Let's show them what real talent looks like. Michael stood quietly in the back. His heart beat fast. This was his biggest moment. But fear started to grow inside him. What if they don't like it? He thought. What if they laugh at me like before? Lily walked over and smiled. You've already made something amazing. Just show them the truth. Michael nodded. He was ready. At 11 a.m., the investors arrived. They wore sharp suits. They had serious faces. Their names were Mr. Patel, Mrs. Green, and Mr. Shaw. They were shown around the company. They asked many questions. They looked at many projects. Some they liked, some they didn't. Then came Michael's turn. Mr. Thomas led them into the demo room. Michael stood beside his invention. He took a deep breath. Good morning, I'm Michael. Mrs. Green looked at him closely. Weren't you the janitor here? Michael smiled politely. Yes, ma'am. But now I work with the tech team. She raised her eyebrows but said nothing. Michael pressed a button. The machine lit up. He explained. Simply, this device reduces energy waste. It learns how a building uses power and saves it when not needed. It's cheap, easy to install, and good for the planet. The screen showed live data. Electricity use was dropping. 2%, 43%. The room was silent. Then Mr. Shaw spoke. You built this alone? Michael nodded. In my free time? From spare parts. Mrs. Green whispered to Mr. Patel. That's genius and low cost. Mr. Patel smiled. Mr. Thomas, he said, we want to invest in this project. Immediately. Michael's eyes widened. Mr. Thomas smiled. But someone at the back of the room did not clap. It was an engineer named Chris. He had always believed. He should be the one to impress the investors, not Michael. After the investors left, people gathered around Michael. Some congratulated him. Some stayed quiet. But one thing was clear. Michael's journey from janitor to genius was real. And now, the world was watching. That evening, Mr. Thomas invited Michael to his office. You did something big today, he said, and we're going to build this together. He handed Michael a new badge. It read, Product Developer, Energy. Division. Michael stared at it. His eyes filled with tears. All those nights alone in the storage room, all the whispers, the doubts, the sabotage. Now they all led to this moment, but just as Michael left the office, he saw Chris watching from the hallway. Chris didn't smile, he didn't speak, he just turned and walked away. Something in his eyes looked dangerous. Chris sat alone at his desk. The room was dark. Everyone else had gone home, but Chris stayed. His eyes stared at his screen, but his mind wasn't on work. His thoughts were full of Michael. How did he do it? Chris whispered. A janitor? Beating me in front of the investors? His fingers tightened into fists. He remembered how everyone had clapped for Michael. He remembered how Mrs. Green called his invention brilliant. And he remembered how he, the engineer with the degree, was ignored. Chris couldn't take it anymore. I'll show them, he said to himself. I'll show them he's not special. The next morning, Michael arrived early, as always. He smiled as he walked past the new office door with his name on it. Michael Thompson, product developer. He still couldn't believe it, from mopping floors to building machines. But inside, he stayed humble. He still said good morning to the cleaners, still helped the interns, still worked harder than anyone. Lily walked into his office. "Big meeting today," she said with a grin. Michael nodded. "I'm ready." She gave him a coffee. They're going to love the next idea. But as Michael worked, Chris was making his move. He had taken a photo of Michael's invention plans weeks ago. Now he was copying the designs, changing a few things, giving it a new name, and calling it his own. That afternoon, Chris met with Mr. Jenkins. Yes, the same. Jenkins, who was suspended. They met in secret, outside the company. Chris showed him the stolen design. Jenkins looked at it and smiled. "This is worth money," he said. "A lot of money," Chris asked. "Can you help me sell it?" Jenkins replied, "Of course. I still have contacts, but you better be ready. If this goes public, Michael will be left with nothing." Back at the company, Michael's new invention was ready. It was a solar-powered charger, small, fast, and cheap, perfect for villages. With no electricity. The whole team clapped after the demo. Mr. Thomas said, "You've done it again, Michael." Michael smiled, but he didn't know what was coming. That night, a tech blog posted something shocking. Young engineer Chris Harper reveals new energy saver design, a breakthrough. The picture showed Michael's machine, with Chris's name on it. Lily saw it first. She ran to Michael, holding her phone. "Michael, look!" Michael stared at the screen. His heart dropped. His mind went blank. "That's my invention," he said softly. Mr. Thomas called an emergency meeting. "This can't be real," he said. "We need to prove that Michael made it first." But Michael didn't speak. He was frozen. All his work, all his dreams, being stolen right in front of his eyes. Lily placed her hand on his shoulder. "We'll fight this," she said. Michael looked at her, and for the first time in days, he said, "Nothing." Just one silent tear rolled down his cheek. Michael didn't sleep that night. He sat at his desk, just staring. The news was everywhere now. Chris Harper, the genius behind New Green Technology. Michael's name was nowhere. His invention was stolen. His dream crushed. But deep inside, one voice whispered, "Don't give up now." The next morning, Lily came in holding a USB drive. "Michael," she said, breathing fast. "I found something." Michael looked up, confused. "I remember the day you tested the first version," Lily said. "You saved it on the office server." She plugged in the USB. There it was. A video. Michael building the first model, testing it, naming it. The date was clear. 3 weeks before Chris ever touched the design, they ran to Mr. Thomas. He watched the video, eyes wide. This is all the proof we need." Mr. Thomas called a press conference. The whole company was invited. Reporters, investors, and even the CEO joined. Chris stood at the front, smiling proudly. He didn't know what was coming. Mr. Thomas stepped up to the mic. "Today we must correct a terrible mistake," he said. He pointed to the big screen. The video played. Michael building the invention, Michael explaining it. The date and time clear. The crowd went silent. Chris's face turned pale. Someone in the crowd whispered, "He lied." Another said, "He stole it." Michael was called to the stage. He walked slowly. His heart pounded. But the moment he stood under the lights, the room clapped. Loudly.